What about defensive end works for Chase Winovich that you think they'll fit better there?
Well, Chase has had a very good spring, and we saw that in the bowl practice, and that's why bowl games are so important. I've always felt, I recruited him, and I felt he had a real high motor. He's a very, very tough young man, and he can really run. And when we got a chance to get him back on defense, we just put him in practices, and I would have played him in the game. I would have put him in the bowl game at the end, except our offense did such a great job of controlling the ball. I didn't have time to get him in at the end. But then this spring, he's added some weight, and he's got a lot of learning to do with the technique, but he's willing to. And I think you're going to be, he's got a very high ceiling. I'm excited about it.
How far along is Brian Monet? Is he full health?
Yeah, Brian's he's rusty. You don't take a whole year off, but every practice you see it getting more like the guy when he was a freshman, but older, and he's working really hard. I'm very pleased with, he's very hungry. He wants to, you take a year away from a young man, it's hard, and he seems to be really excited about, what's happening, and he's getting a lot of great reps.
You haven't, obviously won't practice with him until next fall, but so what's your anticipation and excitement to work with Rashan Gary?
Well, in recruiting, and I've done this a long time, you see a lot of guys that are really, really talented. And you never know. It's just like the NFL. When you draft a guy very high, you have very high expectations. You've obviously put your name on him, and you've obviously said, yeah, this is one of those guys. And now it's the matter of what's he going to be like when he gets here. The thing that's so exciting about Rashan is you can watch a highlight tape, and then you can watch entire games, and that's the same thing. The reason a highlight tape is called a highlight tape because they pick out the best plays. Well, you can see a lot of good players doing that. This young man really is consistent on trying to play the way you want him to play. He's also very intelligent, very high character. We always have looked here. I always have, like the NFL. A freshman is just like a rookie. Play the best players. It doesn't matter. And so when practice starts, they all go in there together. They're all the same. Whether a kid's been a fourth-year player or a freshman, best players play. And whatever can help us win. And, we're very, very excited about him coming in.
Where do you want to play him? Where do you want to start him at anyway?
Well, he'll play defensive end. He'll play a defensive end position. He can also play a defensive tackle position. He's got the size and the strength to do both. So it's wherever he plays the best and wherever we need him.
But you think he'll start out as defensive end and then see?
Yeah, he'll definitely start out as a defensive end.
Do you prefer how high of a bar this group has? Is this as deep of a group as you've ever had here?
Yes, it is. This is a very very deep group of guys who have played a lot of winning football, and so you've got a lot of guys that can be able to compete. And our philosophy has been to try to play two groups or play a lot of guys, and that's in today's football. It's so critical to have a defensive line that is depth because the fast pace and the no huddle. That's made a lot to try to tire out a defensive line, to make a experienced defensive line become average. And when you have the ability to rotate another player in that is equal ability, that really helps you. And the injury factor also. But it is a very deep group.
You mentioned Sheldon Johnson. On the roster he's listed at 6'5", 212. How much bigger do you need him to get, and where? Well,
he's 229. He's 229 right now, and he'll always look thin. He could be 235, 240. He's going to look thin, but he just needs to continue to keep lifting and with our strength program get to be as big as his body will allow him to be, and not lose that quickness. Because the one thing he has is very good athleticism.
Talk about getting the young guys there faster. How do you do that? Was there a substitute for the experience that some of the older guys have?
No, there's not a substitute for experience, but the way we practice and the way we split practices, and it gives you a chance to work very close with a young guy. Where if you've got a regular practice, you're concentrating more on your older kids, the ones you have already seen, and this has given us a chance to really work with the younger kids.
How different is this defense under Don Brown from what it was last year?
I mean, it's an exciting defense. It's a very aggressive defense. There's a lot of similarities, but then again, there's a lot of little things that people will see a difference. But it's a very good defense. He does a very good job.
What's unique about having worked with a ton of guys before?
He's a great coach. He's a very, very good coach. He's very passionate. I think the thing that really helps him do and be successful, I think, is like I said, he's very passionate. He believes in his system. He also is very, very intelligent with the back end and the linebackers working his way down, and so he's got the whole scheme of things.